Okay. Okay. Please, let's take notes. Some of these things are not sacrosanct, okay? But once you get how to use it, just use it. Don't overthink too much. What we are learning, what we are doing now is to learn how to drive, not to technically know why the car is moving or what makes the car move. You will get to that point eventually. But right now, we are learning how to drive, okay? You get to that point where you begin to know, okay, if your oil finishes, if you don't want to go to mechanic, you want to service, like all those people that used to service their jet, when the electric will shock. Number 4, during your explanation of font attributes, you made mention of X height of a typography, where you said the X height of a typography should be at least, yes, 68 to 70 years. Please, what's the essence of having that, and how can we configure the X height of blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll also do that once I get into Figma right now. So you have your X height. Just make sure your X height, it helps with line spacing and also legibility, ability to read the content on the screen. It's very important. So patterning the effect lecture, what is the difference between the layer pass through and the fill opacity? Okay, this is a very good question. I tested this and observed that they are giving me the same results. You can also please throw more light on this. This is a very great question. And this one says, the next question says, please, sir, where are some texts? Why are some texts not allowed in their text frame, and instead they are given an auto layout and both the horizontal and vertical padding are given value 0? This is the case of creating menu. Okay. Yes, reason why we do this, let me answer this one direct. Reason why we do this is so that you can actually add like a higher padding. You know, with the text, if you want to go and manually increase the height, it's not just the best practice. Some people do that, but using it, putting it in a text frame and adding that padding instead gives you this flexibility, especially if you even want to include icons, because some of your menu links might be drop down link, okay? So adding them in an auto frame allows you to easily drag in an icon inside them and it automatically adapts, okay? So let's go in and let's take a look at some of these things he just mentioned. So I'm on playground, okay? So the first one, which I said is a very good question. Okay, what's the difference between that layer? So if I have, let's say I have this, let me have this one, okay? And let's have another shape here. Okay, I'm going to color this red. I'm just using a very bright color so that you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm going to color this red. I'm going to color this yellow. Okay, let me group these two. I'm not doing anything specifically now. I want to group the two of them. Now, what's the difference between the fill opacity and the layer opacity? Okay, remember, anytime you are designing, to view everything in your design, you come to this panel. This panel is called the layer panel. Let me remove this Pomodoro timer for now. Now, this layer is called the layer panel. So from here, you can view everything on this particular design. You can view it layer by layer. Like if you open this group 2, you can see the layer 1. Layer 1 is containing the rectangle, and then the layer on top is containing the circle. Now, if you want to reduce the opacity, that's the transparency, across the layer, that is when you use this layer opacity control here. So if you want to reduce it on the layer level, you want to select this, you want to go ahead and choose whatever you want. But the main reason why you want to do this is this one gives you access, okay? It gives you access to choose how that particular layer interacts with the underlying layer. So let's assume I select this now, okay? And I come in here, okay, let me just do it from here. If I select this and I choose 50%, you can see that it's affecting everything. So it's considering everything here because we grouped them. It's considering everything here as one layer. You can see it's affecting all of them. So if you're using layer here, there is no way to select this one direct. Okay, except if this one is on its own, then you can manipulate that layer direct. But you can see with layer, you can choose the opacity and the layer effect directly on the layer, right? Directly on the layer section. Meanwhile, if you come to fill is basically talking about the color. Okay, fill is basically talking about the color, not the object. So layer deals with the elements on the frame, on the layer, while this fill specifically deals with the color. Okay, so if what you intend to reduce is the color and not the entire shape, the best approach is to use fill. So if I come in here, I can reduce this fill to 75. Now I have this. I can also come in here and reduce this to 75 as well. But the key point here is that fill will only reduce the opacity of the color, not the shape entirely. Because with the shape, right, if you select the shape now, let's say we use this. Let's add a stroke to this. Let me increase this stroke to 10. You can see that this opacity that we've done is also affecting the stroke because that one is on the layer level, okay, the layer level. But let's select this one now and apply the same stroke, and this stroke, let's make it 5. You can see that at this point, that opacity we added is only affecting the color, the field. You can see it's not affecting this outline, except I specifically go to the outline field, okay, except I specifically go to the outline fill and also reduced the opacity right here. So fill, this particular one, layer, affects it from the layer level, right, from this layer structure, while fill and the rest applies directly to the color, right? And also there are some good things you could do here. If you select this and you come in here, and you can see the opacity is here. These options you have here, you can see it here for the color. So it's called blend mode. Now you can choose how this will blend with the underlining layer. You can see different blending mode here. Okay, look at different blending mode. So you can clearly use this to create some nice effects. Okay, you can use it to create some nice effect. So sometimes if you bring in a picture and you put a saturation filter on it, it will change it. You can actually manipulate it. Okay, so that's for these ones. Is the same thing here. If you select this, the default one is pass through, but when you click, you can also choose how they interact with the underlining layer. But most of the time, you are likely going to be reducing the opacity of your field and not necessarily the layer, except if you want to actually, what you want to do is to actually decrease the opacity of the entire layer. It's up to you. It depends on what you want to do. The next question about typography scale. So if you want to scale one of the most popular numbers, let's say I have hello. First, you want to start with your base. So your base is likely going to be what? 16. So first you want to start with your base, which is size 16. Okay. Now, to know the next size for the next headline, right? I increase this. I can now multiply this, okay, times 1.25, for instance. Oops. 16 times 1.25. Now I've gotten the next one. So it's giving me size 20. Or I can do 1.35. Depending on the number you want to use here on type scale. Oops. So you can see here on typescale.com, we have different number sizes. For this one, this 1.2 simply means by 1 point, that's times 1.2, you have 1.125, you have 1.25, you have this 1.414, you have this 1.5. So if you want if you want to use perfect fifth, you can now do, instead of this, once you've gotten your base first, you can now come in here and do times 1.5. So this will give you, why am I clicking on something else? Times 1.5. Okay. So you can see this one will give you 24. And if you increase this, you are doing times, okay, times 1.5. Now this one gives you 36. Then you keep growing like that. Okay. Remember, it's not like you have to do this forever. They are just depends on your project, times 1.5. And then you keep having these numbers just like this. Okay. And for your other subsequent tiny text, you can now go with what? After 16, you can have your 14. Okay. You can have your 14. And after 14, you can have your 12. Okay. And you can also have a tiny text that can be around 10 or 11. Please don't go smaller than 10. Okay. But all these things is just for to give you um, proper understanding of how to structure. In most cases, they're like pretty standard. Nowadays, if you don't want to go with this structure, one other structure to use is to just come in here. This one, after 16, you have your 24. After 24, instead of this, you can have your 32. After your 32, you can have your 40. That is basically adding 20 to them. Okay. Sorry, basically adding 8 to them. And one other thing you need to know, for your line height, okay, for your line height, you can always, instead of using auto, you can always come in here and do 5.54 times, okay, so 54 times the same thing. You can say 1.5, and this will give you that line height. Okay, you can see it has given you the line height. So if you don't want to do that, you can just also add 8. You can add 8 or 16 depending on what you want. But for this particular training, we are trying to make you get used to the 8-point grid and the 4-point grid. Okay, so that's why we recommend numbers that are divisible by 4. But these ones can work. It all depends on what you want. Okay, now the last thing here, the last thing we're going to talk about now, based on the color, your question you asked, color. What exactly is color? Okay. Now, when you are designing, the most important color is your brand color. Okay. Now, immediately after your brand color, every other thing is secondary, because if you are going for a monochromatic color, that means one color, you can just get different shades. Okay. So the most important thing is your brand color. After your brand color, you have your neutrals. Okay, you have your neutral colors. Okay, neutral colors. Okay, you have your neutrals. I know how to spell neutral again. You have your neutral colors, and immediately after your neutral colors, you have your semantic or system colors. What is happening today? Yeah? Okay, you have your brand color, you have your neutrals, and you have your semantic or system color. Now, your brand color can actually be divided into primary, secondary, and accents. Or it could just be one color with different shades. Okay, so your brand color will have primary, secondary, and accents, or can just be one color with different shades in case you are going for a monochromatic design. So a monochromatic color scheme is just one color and then you have different shades from the same hue. Okay, that is what you call monochromatic. Okay, so which ones are neutrals? Neutrals are your grays and your white and black. So if you want to get real neutrals, okay, if you have this, let's have this. Okay, now if you come in here, you notice we have the D9, D9, D9. These are neutrals. So neutrals are always around the edge here. Neutrals are always there around the edge here. Yes, you can always use something else, but a good rule of thumb is to use neutrals around these corners. So that means if I should want on any neutral, I can come from here. Make sure it's at the edge, okay? Make sure it's at the edge. And most of them, it will always have this two number. You can see D9, D9, D9. You see real neutrals will always have this. Now, these are pure neutrals. That means they are coming from either black or white. There are other ways to create your neutrals. You could use a neutral with a tint of your brand color. That one is a story for later. But right now, if you want to get pure neutrals, that means black and white, make sure you are the edge, okay? You can drag this up, and let me go to hex for you guys to see. You can, if you notice here, you see that they are all two digits. Like from here up until when you go to white, you have the FFF. But immediately you start coming down, you have FAEEE. You can see CD, CD. Make sure you are at the edge, okay? Don't go inside. So these are pure neutrals from your white to black and all the grays and everything in between. These are the ones you use for your backgrounds, use for your text, you know, neutral colors. There are no colors inside, no hue, okay? No hue. Now, if you choose any of this color, if you come here to HSB or HSL, okay, you can see the hue is literally 0. But if you come somewhere like this, and let's say this one, or let's change the hue position, let's do something like this, and we add a little bit of color inside. This doesn't change much, but this is no longer pure neutral. Remember, I didn't say it must be pure neutral. I'm only showing you how to get pure neutrals. So for your pure neutrals, you want to make sure your hue is at 0, and you come in directly from here and you go up or down from white to black. Now, these are the neutrals. You use them for backgrounds. You can, if you take a look at the Figma interface itself, you can see the neutrals everywhere. You can see the background. You can see the kind of color they use here. You can see it's not pure black. They didn't make it pure black so that they can have other darker tones and darker shades. Okay, so it's important for you to understand that. Now, immediately after that, the next type of color you have is semantic or system colors. Now, semantic or system colors are colors used in communicating within your design. They are mostly amber, red, and green, then blue. Amber, red, green, and blue. Okay, that's basically, they are usually your semantic color. So you can use blue, although sometimes some people change the blue to their own brand color. Okay, you can use blue or your own brand color. That means here you can use a color like this to communicate neutral messages. You use a color like this to communicate like a little bit of warning or medium messages. You use this one, okay, like red, to communicate critical messages. Then you also have the green here to communicate success. Okay, so you can communicate success when something is correct. You can indicate, okay, this is success. And yes, remove this one. So these are system colors. They are actually the same everywhere. They are actually the same. So let's assume someone is filling a form and then the form has a validation. So if the person didn't pass the validation, you can't use yellow to write, oops, your password is incorrect. Please try again. It needs to be red. It's not like it's a law, but because of people's mental model, there are simple things people already used to. So you are expected to use this thing. Now, the next question is, what if my color, my brand color, is part of these 4 colors? It doesn't make any difference. If your color is part of the 4 colors, good for you. Are you getting? But whenever you have issues, you want to represent with semantic colors, you go ahead and use this. So brand color, neutrals, semantic. Now, you've been shown how to generate different types of colors. This is not a color class. Maybe next one we'll do color class. But basically, the most important thing is your brand color. If you've gotten your brand color, you can basically go to the color wheel. Unfortunately, Figma doesn't have so you can come in here, or what's the name of this website I use? What's the name of this website? I've forgotten the name of this website. I've used this once or twice, but I hardly use it because I already know the colors I want. Okay, I think it should be real-time color visualizer or palette maker, something like that. Let me see. So if you are here, you can basically see the color wheel. So if this is your primary color here, okay, this is even from Canva, and they are even giving you a design of how. Okay, I like the way they are doing this thing here. Okay, so opposite, you can find your secondary color if you want. Okay, so you choose how you want it. This is a complementary color, or you can choose monochromatic. Okay, so if you choose monochromatic and choose your color, you can see it will give you a shade. If you choose complementary, it will give you a color that complements whatever color you chose. Whatever color you chose is. Whatever color you chose is. That's if you haven't done enough. Okay. If you also want, you can go to analog colors, but trust me, uh generating colors like this, you will not be doing like this at this point. Okay, don't do this at this point. At this point, the best way to work with color is with experience. Okay, so what you can always do at this point, you can also check online for the colors people are using for a particular thing. Okay, so there's also something like color psychology. We talked about it last time. Okay, so if you are working like on a new app, you want to go with yellow, you want to go with green, sorry, you want to go with red. But let's say the meal app is trying to promote vegetarianism, sustainable living. You can try all those things in the likes of the greens, It's just color psychology. If you are designing like an app for children, you want to go with a lot of bright colors, right? You don't want to go with the dull colors because children like lively colors. So it's just a little bit of color psychology there. Let me check if okay, this is the website I was talking about. So on this website, I'm going to also paste it right there in the link. So please make sure you copy this. I'm going to save it. So on this website as well, you can, okay, you can, where is it? Get started. There's a place, okay, I forgot. So you can come in here and put your primary color, okay? So on this website right now, you can come in here and say, okay, this is my primary color, and it's going to show you how your color is going to, how you could implement your color, right? And you can say, okay, let's come to Canva first. Let's choose, let's say we want, complementary color. Now it must not be this, so it must not be like this. So let's copy this color here, this hex code. Then we'll come here, let's paste it here and say, okay, this is our primary color, okay? And oops, so this is our primary color. Are you sure I copied that color? Okay, this is our primary color, and here we have our secondary color. Okay, here we have our secondary color and our secondary color. Now for our accents, okay, here we have our secondary color. For our accents, we'll just take these two color. Let's see these two color, right? You can just move this way to choose your accent, or this way, depends on where you want to go. For me, I will probably come in here and choose around purple for my, let me come this other way, purple here for my accent. So I'm going to choose that as my accent. So I come in here and choose my accents, choose my accents. Now, it's not always like this. It's not always like this. But I'm just showing you guys simple things. So for your text, you can go with this. For your background, you can see background are usually neutrals. So for here, you can just scroll down and see how you could apply this color. But these things are just, all those tips they give you that at the end of the day, you find out that you might not even use it. Okay. But this is a great learning source of how you can actually implement your colors. Okay. So if you notice, you can see how the accent colors are being used. Okay. For specific actions. So you don't use them everywhere. Now, the most important thing about color is knowing how to apply colors. And when it comes to applying colors, we follow what we call the 60-30-10 rule. Okay. The 60-30-10 rule. So this is like a texted and trusted way of applying your colors. So that is to say, if I come in here, let's go to mobin.com. Mobin is one of the largest resources where you can find inspiration from real apps. So make sure you go to Mobin, you sign up, and once you need inspiration, you can use mobin.com. I'm pasting all the links here. Okay, make sure you access these links. And now on Mobin, you are going to see a lot of apps and you're going to see their designs and their flows. It will also help you learn faster. So let's take a look at what exactly do you mean by the 60-40-10 rule. It simply says that in most of the screens, okay, and most of your app screens, a color should be dominant. Give a particular color 60, then give another one 30, give another one 10, depending on how you want to manage the color. So let's assume I'm designing. Let me just pick a frame fast here. So let me just pick a frame. Let's assume I'm designing. I have my primary color and I have my secondary color. So I can use my neutral white as the background. Okay. I use my neutral white as the background. And then I use my 10% here as the what? The primary color for the button. Okay. Let me cover it so I will understand that it's a button. Then for my 30%, it could now be the text. Okay. The text will now be the 30%. That's the black. So this is me applying the 60-30 rule. It's not like everything you'll be shouting 60-30-10 rule. Okay. But that's just the basics. This is like the basics. If you take a look at a lot of website design, a lot of app design, you see this in all of them. If you notice, if you take a look at this design now, I don't know. Okay, if you take a look at this design, you can see you have this one covering here, the 60, the white is like 30, and then this other color is like the 10%. If you also come in here, the same thing you see going on here, almost everything, almost most designs, basically that's what they have. You can also see we have this gradient black about 60, we have this other gray here, and this about 30, and then we have all this accent color, just about 10% of it. So yes, this also here, this also the same thing you have here. So basically that's how to apply it. And if you come back to this website, that's basically what they've done. You can see on this, in this section now, this particular light color is like 60, and then you have the blacks as the 30, and you have this this pink here as 10%. Now on coming here, you have, so this one now is like 90-10. Okay, all these ones are like 90-10, 90-10. So it's really not it's just something you should take note of, so you don't go and scatter color everywhere in a way that doesn't pleases the Lord. Okay, so I think I've answered most of the questions. I would want us to go answer any other question, then we can go to Figma and start working. So we've done something with so the 60-30-10. Yes, I think I've explained this. I've also explained the color psychology, and yeah. So we've watched the effect video. I hope we can understand the effects. Now, effect, you will not use effects all the time, but when you eventually get to use it, it's always nice. But please make sure you don't use it everywhere. In fact, the best way to use effect is to use an effect that people don't even notice that there is an effect. Okay, if you use an effect and then everyone is seeing it, it's too obvious, then it doesn't look nice. Things like shadow, make sure you use subtle shadows. Don't always make it too black. So you have two types of shadow, like we explained. You have shadow, you have glow. Okay, you have a shadow, you have a glow. So when you want to give your shadow the same color, if you want your shadow to blend well, you probably want to use, let's use drop down shadow. So if I'm going to increase my y-axis, let's use 24, so it will be very visible. If I make this thing 50 now, you can see, I can clearly see this shadow. Now, one of the easy ways to make these things look softer is to make sure the color is coming from the background color. So I select here, give it this background color, and just go down a little bit. Okay, now instead of black, I have this color that is coming directly from the background color. It makes it softer, and you can even go ahead and increase the blur to like 75, and then reduce the opacity to, like, let's say 50. Like I said, one of the ways you want to create, although there are instances whereby you need sharp shadows, okay? So when you want to create this airy kind of feel, you want to make sure the shadows are very soft, okay? And probably want to add something like this here. Okay, good. Now, what about glow? With glow, you want to do the opposite. So with glow, if this is our color, we can now choose the color we want for the glow. So let's say we want yellow, and we can go ahead and let's reduce this to like 50. So this here is more like a glow. Let me use blue. Blue seems to be better in this case. Okay, let's reduce the opacity. So this one here is more like a glow. It is not really like, it's a shadow, but it's a glow because it's emitting color. Shadows are usually supposed to be subtle and have the same colors. Shadows are usually dark, right? So that's just the thing. And then you have this other one. Um, you have inner shadows and the rest of them. So I want us to ask questions before we come in for our exercise. So if you have any question relating to effects, okay, and again, note that this effect, you can add multiple on one element. So it must not be one. You can always add multiple elements on one. Now let's take a look at this. For instance, let's see, let's take a look at webflow.com. Now, when you go to webflow.com, you're going to notice something. And like I said, the best way to create effects is to make sure they are there and also they are looking like they're not there. Take a look at how nice this shadow is this button is looking. Okay. Let me see if I can zoom in. Now take a look at this shadow. Sorry, take a look at this button. If you look at it, you would probably think it is just blue. Okay, you probably think it is just blue, but I want you to observe the line. You can see, like, we have like a little shine on the edges. Not when I hover. Yes, when I hover, that one is very obvious. But just take a look at the edges. You notice that you have this, like, this little, just little. Okay. Now, if you are creating things like this, this is where these are instances whereby you use colors. Okay, so if you want to create something like this, you come in here. Let's have our button. So let's say we have our button here. Okay, let's say we have register. I'm just showing this because sometimes when people don't see things, they feel like you are not expected to do it. So let me do 16, or they won't have idea. Let me do 16 and 24. They won't have an idea of how to achieve it, and it becomes an issue. So for this one, let's go ahead and make shift A. Okay, shift A. Let's go ahead and use 32 here and 16 here. This is not standard though, but it's just one of the best working sizes for buttons. let's come in here and just give it a little tiny bit there. And for the fill, let me go in and choose, let's do like green. I don't like this green. Let me come in here. I don't like this. Okay. Okay, let me do this red. Let me do red. Okay. And here, let's do white. Already you guys can do this. This is not why, this is not the reason why I'm showing you this. Okay. Now you can just come in here now and start adding effects. So if I come down to effect, I add my plus sign. The reason why I'm showing you this is that you can add multiple effects. Probably the first effect I want to have here will be an inner shadow. Okay. With the inner shadow, you can already see this kind of effects that I'm having. But here is the thing, I want to even reduce it to like 1. Okay. And the blur, I want to make it like 2. May no 2. You can see I'm having that very tiny. Then I can make it a shine with white. Now you'll be saying, I'm not seeing it though. Let me make it 100%. If I make it 100%, you can see that shine right there. But we want to make it even way more subtle, right? Way more subtle. So let's go ahead and make it and take it to like 25 or let's say 30 so you can still see it. Now it is there. Oh, don't say it's not there. Now I can come in here again, okay, and add another one plus, sorry, and add another one, another effect. This time around, still inner shadow still. But this time around, I'll probably increase this to like 4 and this one to like 8. Okay, the same shine, white. Remember, when you use white, make it shine. Okay, so I can even make this like 40. Okay, good. Now if I want to do something better, if I come in here and make this like 80, now watch what happens at the top. You can see how I've controlled the softness. I've controlled it. If I even want, I can even make this one as well. Why? 1. You can, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm trying to show you. Okay. Let's make this instead of 80, let's go 50 and see. Okay, good. Now, when you create a button like this, the effect is there, it's subtle. You can see it, but it's not in your eyes. Now, you can also make some effect that can be in someone's eyes. Let's assume you are trying to create a kind of design called neo-brutalism. Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at next week. Okay, we'll be looking at it and also interaction. So a kind of design called neo-brutalism, which is prominently featured on Figma. When you go to figma.com, you are going to see a kind of a pattern of design called neo-brutalism, where everything is being brutalized, everything is just big. Okay, but please don't do a neo-brutalism design style for a hospital. Okay, it is for creatives. Okay, there are some industries that it works for. So maybe if they call you now to do federal government hospital, you go and say you are too creative, maybe use neo-brutalism. It might not work well for elderly people. Okay, so you can see all this kind of neo-brutalism effect. So if you also they feature large fonts. If you also do something like neo-brutalism design pattern, okay, we have different design patterns. We'll take a look at them next week. If you come here, images, I spell this thing well. Okay, you can see them. Now then be this. If you've seen this type of design style, they are called neo-brutalism. There are a lot of them. There are different types. There's neomorphic. Okay, there's neomorphic, there's skeuomorphic. Okay, we'll take a look at this thing. Like I said, we'll take a look at them next week. We just have like a few more minutes for this session, so we can go to Figma. So we have neomorphic designs, we have glassmorphic design, we have skeuomorphic design, we have flat design. Okay, so we have gradient design. There are a lot of them, right? But we'll just stick to some that are very popular that you need to get used to. So this type is called brutalism. Now, let's say you want to create something like this button here. Okay, so we are just going to try it with our button already created. So of course, I'm going to change this font. Neo-brutalism always have this kind of, there's this kind of font they use. They make use of a kind of font called grotesque kind of fonts. Okay, you see a lot of them. If you just go online and search for grotesque fonts, you see them. You can see things like space grotesque, power grotesque, niveau grotesque, cross grotesque, HK grotesque, but grotesque, that's the whole idea. Okay. That does not mean you can't use sans serif fonts for them, or you can also use sans serif fonts if you want. So I want to go ahead and increase this to like even 22. Oops. Let's go with 30. Oops. Under. Okay, let's go with. Sorry, I was inside this guy. I thought I was inside the line spacing. So let's go ahead and make this even 32. Okay. And how do you apply new brutalist effect here? All I can do is I want to go ahead. It does not use any shine. It doesn't use shine. Instead, it uses bold colors, right? So the way this is bold right now, I can add my, yes, I can add my effect here, shadow. Now, see what's going to happen to this shadow now. I can come in here on this, I can use 8. I can also use 8 here or -8 there. Okay. Now, my blur value, I'm going to put it as 0. I don't want any blur. And my percentage 100. Then I'll come to this one on its own, the frame on its own, and I can add my stroke. Okay. I can make my stroke like 5. Oh, 5 is kind of too much. Let's go with 2. 2 is too small. 3, I think 3 is fine. And then you see, you have this kind of new brutalist effect. And if you even want to make it pop, because they are big on pops, okay? If you want to make it pop, you can go with this yellow here, okay? The same thing with the color here. So you can see if someone was not here while we were doing this, they will probably think, they might actually think we have 2 shapes there, but you can see it is not 2 shapes. Instead, we used our shadow to achieve that. Okay, so yeah, there are instances whereby you might want to, and neo brutalism. So these are examples of neo brutalist styles. So they make use of large, everything is oversized. Okay, but please don't make it too much oversized. Okay, I think I've been the only one talking. So please, if you have any question, ask so that we can proceed. Ahmed, do you have any question? Okay, Liberty Edwin, your question, please. Unmute your mic and ask a question.
All right. Sorry, I actually came late. I'm just sharing grotesque and all of them like that. I don't understand because I'm seeing like 2 different buttons here, and one has much shadow, and one just have a faint shadow. Is it that we have a specific time when we use this one with large shadow? I don't understand.
No, I'm saying it depends on your design style. If you want to design like a new brutalistic kind of style, you can go with this. See this design here. Let's come back here. If you notice, all these design, they share something in common. If you look at them well, they have this kind of popping colors that have large texts and thick outlines. All of them. All of them from here to here. All of them. So this type of design, I said they are called neo-brutalist design pattern. So if it is this kind of design you want to go for, I've just shown you how to create something like this, because if you look at this, you might think it is 2 shapes, one purple and the other one black. If you do this, it is going to be wrong, right? Yes, visually it will look the same, but in execution, it is not like that. You can achieve this using dark shadows and outlines, okay? You achieve this using sharp shadows and outlines. And when you look at most neo-brutalism designs, they don't feature soft shadows. They only feature hard shadows. Example is on Figma. You can see Figma. You can see the buttons. You can see the text are usually very large. If you keep scrolling down, you see the same thing. No shadow here. No shadow. You can see big buttons, big typography. Okay. So if it is this type of design you want to go for, I've just shown you how to create it. And they are also huge on hand drawn stuff. Things like these are shapes, but they're also huge on hand drawn elements. But you can also do this. Let's say you want to create this now, like this kind of shapes. All you need to do is to come in here, you pick your star, right? You pick your star. Now, after picking your star, they always make use of very bright colors. So take note of that. You choose your very bright color for the for this outline. Don't go and draw two shapes. Just go and add large stroke, something around maybe 5. Okay, and then this is how you get your new brutalist effect. So I can just drop this here and maybe rotate it, and then yeah, boom. Okay, I can reduce this by 3. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. But this one we used inner shadow, and you can see it's very subtle, but you hardly know it is there. The key takeaway here is when using this effect, don't overdo. Be intentional about them. Know when to use them. Okay. Any other question? Okay. So I'm going to show you one other kind of effect. That's the neomorphic effect. Okay. So when creating that one, so let's search for neomorphic effects. Okay, good. Oh, this person even made it easy. So when trying to create effects like this, they are not hard. Okay, you have two types. You have these ones that punch out, and you have these ones that punch in. They are not difficult. In fact, it's just manipulating these figures and changing the colors. You usually use two colors. It's usually the light and the dark, or the light and the shade. Okay, light and shade. So you can see here you have the light, that's the white, and this here you have the dark, that is the black. Now, the secret to creating a very nice neomorphic effect is making sure the background and the shape color is the same. The background and the shape color should be the same. If not, they will be exposed, because all these things are what uh, illusions. So if you want to go with the dark type, you are welcome. It is not difficult to do. What about this type? If you want to create something like this, you are welcome. These are the foundations of creating things like this. But here is the thing: sometimes designs like this are not very accessible. What do I mean by they are not very accessible? Sometimes elements can be lost inside your design. So most of the time it's used for decorative elements. But there is also a very good way to implement it, and that is mixing it with modern design. There's a pattern of design called modern design. I don't want to go into these design styles. We'll take a look at it next week, and also design systems. So modern design UI. So these ones are the type you call modern design, where you use realistic pictures. Okay, use realistic pictures, kind of. So that one is called modern design. Are we together? So let me take a look at another thing again here. So I'm trying to Google something else. Modern design. Let's go to this website. What's their name? Remita. Let's see how Remita implemented this. Okay. Let's see how Remita implemented this. So if you go to Remita, oh, I keep forgetting it's remita.net. Let me just Google Remita. Oh, what in the world is this thing? Remita. So if you go to Remita, you will see how they've implemented neomorphic design. I am not a robot, Remita. I just have 2 minutes. Eh? Ha. Buzz, 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 buzz. Any other buzz? No other buzz. Now you can see how Remita implemented this. You can see that they didn't use neomorphic everywhere. Okay, you can see where they just used the neomorphic design. If you scroll down, they've not used it everywhere, but you can see they've used this soft light, just make everything easy, everything just nice, everything just nice like that. So, like I said, these things are not hard to create. If you come in here, you can actually see. I think I'll just drop this so that you guys can save it. But I need to test this to know if it is working. So copy, because you want to use the same numbers. Okay. Okay, I usually use double of this, though. I usually use double of this. But let's start with this particular one. Okay, let's start with that particular one. Usually I use double of this instead of the minus. So let's come here. Where are we? So in case I want to create a neomorphic effect, I get my frame. Now, the color you want to use, okay, the color you want to use is important. Now, if I want to create a white neomorphic effect, my background needs to be white. And then the element I wish to use to create it should also be what? White. So let's say I want to create it on this frame, okay? Let's say I want to create it on this frame. I must make sure I make the fill white as well. Okay, white as well. Then I'll go in now and start adding my effects. It's going to be drop shadow. Now I want to actually increase it more. Okay, so I can come in here. We can do 16 here, and let's do 16 here. Now for this part, I might want to do like dark. That's the shade. Now the blur, whatever number I use here, I can do times 2. So I can do 32, or you can do 40, depending on what you want. Now the trick here is to make sure I reduce this. Let's go with like 8. Okay, so you can see I have this here. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing. Okay, I'm going to repeat the same thing. Let's just go with the 16 here. I'm going to repeat the same thing, add another shadow. This time around, I want to come in here and change the color. Remember, it's the same number we're using, 16, 16. But this time around, I want to make this one minus 16 and also minus 16. And for this, I want to also increase to 32. Like I said, you can make it 40 if you want. And for this color, we want to use something around gray, not too dark, okay? Something around white. And I want to go ahead now. Where is this? So I want to go ahead now and increase this, reduce this. Let me go with 100 first, so that I can actually get the color I'm looking for. Okay. So I might want to go in like something bluish, so that I can get what I'm looking for there. Let me go with something around white. I might actually change this background color, because white is already too white. So I might go in with something in this blue. Okay. Okay. Not too white. Okay, select this and also make it the same color. Okay. Okay, good. Now let me select this back, go back to this other color, and let's go with that white. Okay, so you can see you want to tweak the color. That's the whole idea. You can see we have that effect right here, this kind of neomorphic effect. This one is the one that pops out. That is this type that pops out. You can see their shadow is just a little bit larger. And if you want to even make the effect more pronounced, Okay, if you want to make the effect more pronounced, you can go ahead and give this like a stroke. But this stroke, we are going to use like a fill, a fill like this. So let's do here white. And for here as well, we're going to do white, but we're going to reduce the opacity. Let's reduce the opacity to like 25. So we can twist it and turn it around. Now, these things just helps with your portfolio, okay? When recruiters are going through and they see that, oh, you can work on different design styles, it gives them this thing that, okay, this person knows exactly what they are doing. So this is how to create this. Let me go ahead and increase these shadows. Let's do like let's do 20 or 24 because my shape is quite large. Let's do 24 here. Okay, minus 24 as well. And for this, let's do 44. Okay, so let's do the same thing here. 24, 24, 44. So 24, 24, 44. Now, you can see how we created this effect. To do the opposite is just to switch the numbers. If you switch the numbers, you get the opposite. Come back to effect. Since we use minus here, let's go with plus. So 24, 24. And let's also come in here. And we want to use here as well. 24, 24. Let me see here. I think we are missing something. Okay, minus, minus. Okay. So for this particular one, we are going to be using 24, 24. So positive numbers, 24, okay, and 24. And we are going to switch it. This will now be our dark, okay? This will now be our dark. Oops. That one will now be our dark. Oh, sorry, I forgot. It's going to be 24, 24. And instead of drop shadows, we are going to have inner, okay? Instead of drop shadows, we are going to use inner shadows. Inner here, inner here. And let's, right? Okay, this one is for glassmorphism. I'm talking of neomorphic. Let me just duplicate this because I don't want to redesign this again. This one is glassmorphism I just did now. So for this one, let's go in and still manipulate this. We want to change it. So let's come in here, inner shadow. Okay. Let's also come in here, inner shadow. Now let's change it the other way around. This light will now be our dark. Okay. This light will now be our dark. And the dark will now be our lights. Let me go ahead and make it 100. Let's use the same color, reduce it, reduce it. Where am I? I'm trying to see where am I. Okay. Okay, I think for this particular one, the blur is too much, it's too large for it. Let's go to 16, 16. Okay, great. Let's go to 16, 16, and let's do 24. Let's even do 20, thereabouts. Let's do 24. And let's go ahead and use the opacity, 100, 100. And yes, so you can see the difference between these three. I don't have time to tweak it more. But these ones, the inner shadow made it look like it is right inside, okay? This one is like a glass effect. Let me remove this linear. This one is like a glass effect because of the shine here. And this one is the opposite of this particular one. So this is how you create effects like this. I probably want to reduce those in the intensity of those colors. So please, if you have any question, ask. But like I said, don't stress yourself too much on these things. They are easy to create. So if you have any question, please ask before we proceed. The same way, if you want to change this button, if you want to change this button to like a glass button, okay, let's assume I want to change this button now to like a glass button. Let me remove this effect. Okay, let me make this 100. Now, what I want to show you here is now, it must not be like, it must not be effect. Sometimes, like if I want to make this a little bit like glassy, I come into effect, add my inner shadow, and I'm going to make this white. Okay, and white, I want to increase it to like, let's say 50, and I might want to, okay, let's use 8 here. Okay, let's also use 8 here. Okay, so you can see it's looking like a teal now. I'll add the second one. Now the second one, inner shadow, I might want to go with -4, -4. So it comes to the bottom. Then here I want to do 8. So it gives it this kind of soft shadow. Now I can still come here and click on this fill. You see on fill, you can add multiple colors. I can go to fill. Okay. Now come in here. Instead of this full color, I'll use gradients. Now for my gradient, I'll come here, use full white. And I also come here, let's make it 100% so you can see what's going on. Now, because it's at 20%, you might not see. So let me make it 100 so you can see what's going on there. So for this particular one, we want to say, okay, let this stop at 50%. Okay, let it stop at this 50%. You can actually come in here and type it directly here to make it stop at 50%. That is half of this. Okay, and you want to go ahead and also bring this one to at the middle as well at 50%. Now you can see, since two of them are 50-50, they've divided this into two equal half. So what I want to do with the black one, I want to reduce the opacity to 0. Okay, with the black one, I'm removing the opacity to 0. Now what I'm teaching here, don't try to cram it. It's a technique. Over time you will develop techniques. For now, just understand how to apply this effect. Okay, now if I want this, that is, I'm good to go. But what I actually want is to come in here and also reduce this opacity to like let's say 50. Let me just drag it down a little bit, drag it sideways a little bit to get a shine. Okay, let me just leave it here. I just want it to be a little bit shiny. Okay, I just want to get that little bit of shine. Okay, and what else will I do? Let me change this to something around, should I use, I'm looking for something around this color, the screen. Okay, I think screen is good for me. And I can just, let me see, 100. Okay, let me go ahead and make it 50 or 25. Okay, so yeah, so this is what we have here. If I zoom backward, you can clearly see what we have and the way it looks like. You can see the kind of button effect that we've created. So if you want to create pills, if you want to be creative, anything you want to create, you can do here. You can even, some people even add shapes. Okay, some people will even add shapes here. Some people can actually come, draw a shape. For this shape, let me just give it absolute position. Okay, absolute position, drop it somewhere here, and let me make it very tiny. Okay, give it white. Okay, give it white, add a blur effect to it, that is layer blur, and then increase the opacity to like, let's say 200. 200 is much, we are not seeing the effect. Okay, let's say 50 thereabouts, or let me try 25. Okay, I think 40. Okay. Now let's select this and activate our clip content. Okay. So with this one here, I can even change the color to this yellow here. Good. Now you can see how we've created this other color. So it's just you. Okay. It's just you to explore how to use these colors the way you want. So please, any question, because I want us to come to Figma now. Let me pick this text. Let me bring it to front. Okay, the text, bring it to front. Any question? Let's try this. Okay, so this one, let me go with another kind of color.
Sir, I'm just coming online. Oh. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, evening.
I missed everything you just did. Oh.
Okay, you try as much as possible to watch the recap.
Okay,
But,
sir.
but we are just trying to show you different ways you could. But please, these kind of buttons, they are not always used all the time. It depends on your design style, sharp. I'm just showing you so that you will not go somewhere now. You see all this kind of design, be like, oh, they don't teach us. I talk, I said they don't teach us anything for there. Some students are like that. Okay, so there's nothing with what you've learned so far. There's no design you can't recreate now. Okay. So, any other question? So, without any further ado, everyone, let's come to Figma. Let's go to Figma, 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 Figma. Everyone, come on board, come on board, come on board. Come on board, come on board. Are we together? Please come on board. I've not seen anyone on Figma. You guys should join me. Oh, you guys are not watching with your laptops. Okay, I've seen Destiny. Okay. So if you are here, why is this SVG not running? Okay, I'm trying to get these logos for you guys. Okay, you know what? I think you should get this yourself so you can learn how to start getting assets. So what I want us to design, okay, everyone come back to Google Meet. Let me show you what I want you guys to design. Okay. I want you guys to redesign just this interface. So this is the interface I want us to redesign. Okay. Now for the specification, let me give us the specification here. Okay. For the frame size, For the frame size, you want to, let me just copy this. I have where I wrote down the specifications. Let me just go and copy it. So please try and complete this before you sleep tonight. Practice makes perfect, okay? Guide, okay? So this is your guide. Use this guide for the design. Okay. So use this guide for the design. So I'm expecting you to just come here, copy this, and you start your design, okay? Please make sure you complete it. Now, come to Google Meet. Let me show you how to get these resources. So go to your Google, okay? Go to, select this dot here, okay? I hope you are seeing my screen. So I want you to click on these three dots here, okay? Once you click on it, I want you to go to, sorry, instead click here, extension, okay? Once you're on extension, I want you to click on manage extension. It's going to take you to your extension, right? So this is what I want us to download, this CSS paper, but you might not have it. So what you want to do is to go ahead and click on Chrome Store. Click on Chrome Store. Remember, I clicked on Chrome Store here. Take note, Chrome Store. It will take you to this Chrome Store. Then you want to type in CSS paper. Oops, CSS paper. Okay. Now it should bring out this. This is the one I want you to install. This one, CSS paper. Okay. Now with CSS paper installed, you can now click back here and make sure you click on this pencil, this pin icon, so that you can pin it here so you can easily access it. Now with what this tool help you do is anytime you visit any website, okay, like on this website now, since we want to try and redesign it, if we are looking for these assets, you see this icon, we are not coming to stress ourselves. Don't worry for that. Don't do the interactions as well. Don't do interactions, okay? But let's say this icon now, I want to get them. I can just activate it. Look at it here. If I click this like this, okay, it will open this up. If you come here, you are going to see all the colors they used. So make sure you pick this color directly from here, okay? You pick it. You can see the main color. You can see the hover color. Pick them from here. And this is the black they've used, 13333. For the background, uncle, you can use this one, E9ECEF, okay? You can see all the colors they basically use here, right? Now, if you want the assets, you click on assets. So when you come to assets, you can see their logo. You can see the padlock for this icon, okay? You can see everything you need to see, the plus sign here. And the good thing is that they are SVG, so it's easy for you to implement. So anyone you need, you what export. Anyone you need, you export. Anyone you need, you export. When you export them, it's going to download them to your PC. All you need to do is to now come in, open up your downloads, okay? You open up your downloads, and you simply import it by dragging it in, okay? You simply what? Import it by dragging it in. So you can just come in here, drag this right inside. And you can see we have that icon right there. You don't need to start designing it from scratch, okay? So what you can do is you can convert this icon to what's it called? A component. So you can easily swap it with other icons. I hope that is clear. So please, 35 minutes, you should be done. So my screen is still going to be open to be watching what you are doing. Don't forget, copy this. If you don't want to copy this, you can just, get your frame size and everything and open the website on another tab, right? So you can just be working with the next website direct. So you can easily copy the text instead of having to be typing it all the time. You can easily copy it. Once you are done, close this. But if you also want to get like sizes, font sizes, you can see immediately I clicked here, it's telling me the font size and all those things. But we might not, I'm not sure of the grid size they use. So don't make use of this size. Don't make use of this size, okay? Make sure you work with the size according to your own grid. So you can also see, if we go back, for this woman's picture in the background, if you scroll down, I think it should be there, if not for network. The woman's picture should be there as well. So pick it. If you look where there's a woman in the background, there's a woman in the background. So pick it as well. Okay. So that's it. Any question before you go in? Any question? So you can say I can easily copy the text here. But if you don't agree you to copy, just type it. Remember, this is a component. Just do one of these components, duplicate. That's why I said that it's not going to be difficult. So do 1, 2, start with 1, 2, and this section. When if you still have time, you do this section. If you still have time, you do this last section. Okay. So do this section last. The navigation bar, do it last. Okay. And for the height, obviously, it's not going to, you can see it's not like full width. It's not full width. So let me give you guys a height you could use. Instead, once you are done, convert your design to auto frame and use 80 pixels so that you don't have a design that is hanging. Like if you have 144, if you come and choose 144 here, desktop, okay, this is like full width, full height of my device. So instead, when you finish designing, let's assume everything you designed is just inside this frame like this, okay? Everything you design is inside this frame like this. What I want you to do, if everything you design is inside this frame like this, okay? What I want you to do is to now select the main frame and you do Shift A. If you do Shift A, instead of fixed for the height, you choose hub content, okay? Then set this around what? 80. So that should be how your design is. And if you have time to do this, once you finish this one, make sure you do this as well, okay? This is the last thing. Once you have time, if you finish this as well, you can just go and drop it inside it. But that's the last thing you should do. This is the only one I'm more concerned of. Please, once you are done, I'll be watching on the screen, but immediately you are done, make sure you share it on the, what's it called? On the WhatsApp group. I want to see it on the WhatsApp group. So tomorrow as well, tomorrow you'll be having your first assessment. So take notes. I'm trying to see if I can get that image for you guys. Okay, let me get it. So you can see how I also got this image. So I'm just going to paste the image here so that you guys can make sure you duplicate this image. Don't go and carry it only you. Okay, so see the image asset here. Just copy and go to your page. Okay. So I wish you guys good luck. But if you have any question now, please ask so that you don't get confused when you start. Okay, so we are good to go.
Sorry, sir. Are we going to
Okay.
get this video to
The recorded video. Yeah, the recorded video, it will be shared on the platform this evening. But you don't need this recorded video to do this. Okay, let me also paste that style guide for people for neomorphic effects. Okay, so now it's not the time for you to be cramming anything. Where was it? Neomorphic effect. Okay, let me paste it. Copy. Let me also paste the neomorphic guide for you guys here. So you can use the same numbers they've used or tweak it to your own style. Okay. So this is your neomorphic guide, this is your layout guide, and this is the background. And like I said, once you've used your 1440, after your design, make sure you convert it to auto layout. And then for the height, use hog, and space between, use 80. Okay, 80. That's it. Okay, who is there?
So
Okay.
what time is yes? So what time is the assessment tomorrow?
I think it should be around 10 a.m. But you are
Sir,
usually given
can you come again, sir?
10 a.m., but you are not doing it
Okay,
together. You are not doing it together.
okay,
Anytime you have chance, you can go into
okay,
the portal and take it.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, so anytime you have
Yeah,
chance, you can take it. But I think the
thank you.
duration is about 30 minutes, either 30 or 20, I can't remember.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, but this is part of it. So make sure immediately you finish designing this, you send in your image on the WhatsApp group. So
Okay,
you
sir.
know how to export, right? So after your design, let's assume I'm done with my design. You select your frame, you go down to export, okay? You go down to export, select PNG or JPG, then you hit export. Then you send in the image. Okay, guys. I'll be watching you guys from here, but I'll be ending the Google Meet call right away. Okay? Good night. If you have any sharp question, drop it on the WhatsApp group as well while you are designing. So let me stop the recording as well. Recording.